Sagan.
Hey, what is up, you guys? It's Clover coming at you today with a video on Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is one of my idols, and he's had such a crazy life. I had to talk about what happened yesterday. If you don't know, Muhammad Ali passed away yesterday on June 3rd in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, if you don't know who Muhammad Ali is, where he was a world-class athlete, he was a boxer, mainly in the 60s and 70s, and he rose to fame really quick from quote-unquote trash talking. He's one of the first professional athletes to do that. He made it big, made it his name by doing it. He would use his words before the fight started to beat up the opponent. You know, he would scare them. He would call himself the greatest. He would tell them, you know, he'd beat the pulp out of the other person. And back in those days, it was really weird for people to hear that, because every athlete came up and was like, you know, respectable, and they didn't say much, and they were just quiet, you know. And he was one of the first to actually, you know, be cocky and call himself great and be this character that everyone liked to watch. And at first, he got a lot of hate for that. Everyone thought he was this cocky a-hole, but then he backed it up, and he was actually a really talented boxer, especially for his weight and shape and size and everything about him. He was incredible. And now it's kind of the common thing to talk trash to scare your opponents. I mean, look at the boxers that came after him. Like, even Mike Tyson, you know, I mean, he would talk the most trash, and look how successful he was. And now, pretty much all these athletes do it. Before the fights, they'll say stuff. They'll call out other people, and they're not afraid to. And now it's commonplace. But back then, it really started because of him. But it doesn't just end there. I mean, yeah, that helped bring him to be one of the most popular people in the world. But he did much more with his life. He had, honestly, one of the craziest lives ever. I can't even put it into a video. It'd be too huge. So I'm going to try and keep it, you know, on the lighter side. I'll just talk about the big stuff that I found important. I mean, if you don't know, the reason his name is Muhammad is because he converted to Islam in the 60s. His original name was Cassius Clay. He converted to Islam. This got him a lot of hate, but, you know, he stood strong and people accepted it. And yeah, I think Cassius Clay was an awesome name, but I also think Muhammad Ali is also an awesome boxer's name. And after that, during the Vietnam War, he was a conscientious objector. A lot of people were. For example, Trump, if you don't know, he faked a leg injury to get out of the war. But an athlete like Muhammad can't do that. I mean, they'll just be like, well, how are you still boxing if your leg's messed up? So what he did, and they don't know for sure if he did this, but let's be real. He took 2 IQ tests and he scored a 78, which is extremely low, too low to be admitted into the army. And he was quoted as saying, "I said I was the greatest, not the smartest." And he kind of laughed it off. I think he faked it, which I don't really care. I think the whole Vietnam War was a joke. Anyway, I won't get into that. But after he got the 78, he stayed out of the war for a little bit. So when Muhammad Ali turned 18, he was originally supposed to be drafted first, but then he took those 2 IQ tests. He was moved to the back. Then they changed their acceptance rules so that more people could be accepted, since they needed more people to be in the war, and he was allowed to be drafted at this point. So what he did is he just flat out went to the public and said, listen, I'm not going to the war, I don't believe in it, just deal with it. And he got jail time, his title was taken away from him, he was fined out the ass. All these terrible things happened to him, but he stood by, he said, it's against my religion, I don't want to do it, you know, that's just how it's going to be. And he did it. He didn't go to the war, and he definitely got punished for not going. But like I said, lots of people didn't want to go. They didn't have to go because they had reasons, or they made up reasons. And I think it's awful that we were in the war at all, and that people were being forced to go, and then people were being punished for not going. Anyways, lots of other crazy stuff happened through the years after he stopped boxing. In 81, he talked a man off a ledge that was planning on killing himself, and it was broadcast on live TV. It was pretty crazy. And then, sadly, in 1984, this is what he's been doing the most recently with, you know, the last 30 years of his life. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 84, and ever since then he's brought so much light and attention to this disease. And that's especially important to me because my grandfather was diagnosed with Parkinson's a while back, and he actually passed away from it last summer in Phoenix, Arizona, which is especially strange since now, a year later, Muhammad Ali is also passing away in the same city, Phoenix, Arizona. And yeah, he's brought so much light and attention to it. He, even during the 1996 Olympics, you could see him lighting the torch and his hand was shaking, but he did it. 32 years with this disease. Most people would not be able to deal with that, but he was still kicking. He was doing it every day. He was walking around, he was talking, he was going to all these places to meet with people. He was on TV talking about it, talking about how important it is to help people with this, to research it, to find out how to cure it. Truly an inspiration. And yeah, and he's also really important to me because back in probably 2006, I think I was 10 years old, Muhammad Ali must have been 64. I was in a restaurant, there were all these people surrounding, people were coming because they were calling their friends to come. He was there. I didn't really know who he was, but I knew he was famous, and I knew he was an athlete, or he was before. So I walked up to him. He sat down with me, talked to me for a good 20 minutes, and then he drew me a picture for 45 minutes, and then he took pictures with me. All these people around, and he was stopping and he was talking to every single person that he could. I mean, he was there for hours and hours, not eating. I mean, he wasn't allowed to. He was in the waiting room, even though they had a table for him. And he even drew me this picture, which is insane because his hand was shaking with Parkinson's. But he spent 45 minutes on it. It's amazing. I have it on my wall. I'll throw up a picture of it if I haven't already. I can't believe he actually took the time to meet with fans. And even people who didn't know who he was, like me. You know, now I'm definitely his fan. And this is just incredible that a person like this would do that, especially with a disease like that. He's still taking hours and hours out of his day to meet with fans after this. You know how many people who've been famous for a couple of years like kick away the paparazzi? I mean, look at Kanye. He's an asshole to anyone that comes up to him. This guy's been dealing with it for 50 years and he was still doing it. I mean, it's insane. And he's just an awesome guy. Incredible life. Incredible boxer. I mean, even his daughter Layla became a boxer. She had 24 professional boxing matches. She won all 24, undefeated, in her lifetime career of 7.5 years, and 21 of them were by knockout. It must run in the family, or I don't know. It's an incredible family. He had 9 kids. Muhammad Ali was a great guy. He brought a lot of awareness to a terrible disease, and he's definitely one of my idols and definitely an American icon. And yeah, the sad part is he passed away yesterday by septic shock, which it's a medical condition that occurs when there's sepsis. And he'd been in the hospital a couple of times over the past 2 years, but this one just got him. They didn't think it was serious at first when he came in, but by yesterday he was on life support and then he passed away. But yeah, like I said, I hope you guys learned something. Definitely this guy needs to be remembered well. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Peace.